Hannah fixed her head wrap and she straightened her dress, and she made sure that she looked just so, because she figured if she could make everybody believe that everything was going on okay on the outside, that they wouldn't have a clue of what was taking place on the inside. She had been preparing for this all week long, and if she was telling the truth, she really didn't like going to church. It took a lot of energy. It took a lot out of her. It was something that was trying to her. She had this theory. There was something about church. There was something about God that brought out the devil in Penina. Penina. That was the baby's mama with all the drama. She kept having babies and she kept getting on Hannah's nerves. That is all she found time to do. And when it was time to go to church, she would think of some of the most hateful and meanest things to say. The Bible calls Penina her rival. A rival is somebody who is after the same thing you are, but only one of you can have it. And so Hannah and Penina were both after Elkanah's love and affection. Now, Hannah definitely had Elkanah's attention, but Penina got his check. And somebody said that where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And so now we have a formula for drama. So Hannah was trying to do the Christian thing. She was trying to do the godly thing, trying to be cordial and nice, but she had it up to here. They made their trek to Shiloh, and they were in service, and the whole time she was fighting back tears. She was looking at the children. This one was shoving peas up his nose. That one had gravy in his hair. Those two were throwing food at one another. And it didn't even irritate her so much that Penina's kids were throwing food. What got under her skin was that Penina's kids were throwing food. She couldn't understand why such a wretched woman would be allowed to have offspring. The way she saw it, some people shouldn't be allowed to reproduce. Perhaps she had seen some news stories about mothers who drowned their children. Maybe she got wind of mothers who in desperate times prostituted their children out. How could such wicked people have babies? And here she was, a good godly woman, and she was barren. Elkanah saw the pain in her eyes and decided to show her favor. And so at the dinner table, when everybody was gathered, he would give her a larger portion of food. He would feed her like she had a family of 5. Gave her a double portion. But what Elkanah didn't realize is that the problem that Hannah was having could not be solved by getting the big piece of chicken. What Hannah was going through took a little bit more than that. And so Hannah just sat there, though her plate stacked high. When she backed away from the table, the only thing she had in her mouth was the taste of tears. This was a time of feasting, but she fasted. It was supposed to be a time of joy, but she was in despair. It was supposed to be a time of shouting, but she was sitting there pouting. Her husband ran after her and tried to make her feel better. We read his words in verse 8. It says, then Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? Why is your heart grieved? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? Elkanah was offended that his love was not enough for her. She declined to speak of the hypocrisy because every day she lived with the realization that her love was not enough for him. If it had been, then he wouldn't have come home with another woman. If it had been, he wouldn't have come home with somebody else. They both had issues with the fact that she couldn't have any babies. But only Elkanah, the man, could do something about it. And so he went and got a better model, a more fertile wife, a working model who never gave up the chance to flaunt her womanhood in front of Hannah. She never gave up the chance to show how much more of a woman she was. Nobody understood Hannah. And so she decided to go to the only place she could find some love, sympathy, and understanding. Hannah fell on her knees in prayer. You see, there are some situations that demand just a little more than the people around you have to offer. There are some situations that call for a little more understanding than your boss can give you. There are some situations that call for a little more grace than the law allows. There are some situations that need more patience than is humanly possible. Sometimes you need divine wisdom. Sometimes you need a different kind of strength. You need an ear that can hear, but a hand that can heal. Hannah grew weary of human companionship. She needed God, and she needed him in a hurry. It reminds me of a story that is told of a small town in the South. It was hurricane season, and the hurricane was barreling toward this farm. Everybody on the farm huddled into the shelter, those who lived there and those who worked there. As they huddled there, the door began to flap on and off. It was rickety, and it looked like it was about to give way. And so now everybody was nervous, because if that door went, then they would all be sucked out to their deaths. There was an old preacher in the building, and he was a great orator. He had great homiletical skills, and so he began to pray, God, send us your spirit. Oh, God, we need you to send the spirit of the children of Israel. Spirit of the children of Moses. Children of the promised land. And Deacon Jenkins was listening to this prayer, but he was getting a little irritated because his life was on the line. And so he began to yell above the old preacher, and he said, God, don't send nobody down here. We need you to come yourself, because this ain't no job for children. Hannah said, I need somebody with some power. I don't need somebody who's going to be playing around with this thing. I need God to intervene. I need God to do something in my situation.